Welcome to Gentle Rain Yoga on YouTube. I'm Cindy Phillips. Today we're going to do a chair yoga sequence that will focus mainly on the hips, legs, and feet. The props you'll need for this class today are obviously a chair. If you have a folding chair, that will work just fine. That's what we use in the studio. I'm working here from home, so I just grabbed one of my kitchen chairs. It should have a fairly straight back and no arms so that you are not restricting your movement to the sides with arms getting in the way. Other props that we'll use today are a strap. So you can use your yoga strap if you have one. This is the belt from one of my bathrobes. We'll also potentially need some blocks, and this will depend on a couple of factors. Number one, your height or your body proportions. And the height of your chair. So depending on your proportions in relation to the chair, if you'll notice when I put my feet on the floor, my thighs have a downward slope to them and I feel pressure on the backs of my thighs at the edge of the chair. So what we want to try to achieve is to get the thighs parallel to the floor so that there's no pressure on the backs of the thighs. You can do this with foam yoga blocks if you have them, or choose a few books. I chose 3 wide, thick books here. If you just have smaller books at home, maybe you'll make 2 stacks of smaller books. So just to get your thighs level so you can be more comfortable sitting in the chair. We'll begin seated and then we'll come up to standing and do a few poses standing next to the chair, using the chair for balance if you need it. So our first pose, we will use the strap. You may not need the strap. I'll show you the motion we're going to do. We're going to lift one leg, extend forward through the heel, then bend the knee and lower the foot back down to the floor or your blocks. If this is a comfortable motion for you, you don't need to use a strap. If you'd like a little extra support, you might use one hand under the thigh to help support the weight of your leg, or you can use the strap. So I'll demonstrate with the strap. If you're going to use that, just loop it around the foot. Let's start with the right side first. You can hold the strap with both hands or just hold it in the right hand, and then you can steady yourself at the edge of your chair with your left hand. So when you're ready, lift, extend, bend, and down. 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 2 more. Lift, extend, bend, and down. Lift, extend, bend, and down. And if you're using the strap, switch that over to the left foot. And when you're ready, lift, extend, bend, and down. 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 2 more. Lift, extend, bend, and down. Lift, extend, bend, and down. Okay, let's work on the ankle a little bit. So if you're using blocks, you can just step your right heel to the front edge of your blocks. If you're not using blocks, you can just extend the right leg out, and you might need to scoot forward a little bit on your chair. Then we're going to point the toes as far as you can. Then flex the foot, pulling the toes back towards the shin. And point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex. Once more. Point, flex, and we'll rest the right foot. Switch to the left foot. Step the heel forward on the edge of the block or extend the left leg. When you're ready, 6 more. Point and flex, point and flex, and rest the left foot. Okay, let's start to warm up the hips a little bit more. So scoot a little bit forward on the chair so that you have free movement of the legs, and we'll just move the knees away from each other and back in, out and in, out and in, out and in, out and in. I've lifted my heels to let the legs move a little bit more freely, so I have just the balls of the feet on the blocks as I move the knees out and in. A couple more times. Okay. So if you've been using blocks, let's scoot those out of the way. Scoot those off to the side here. Hang the strap on my chair. We're going to scoot to the front edge of the chair, but make sure you're still holding on to the sides. Extend your right leg forward. The left foot will cross it over the right shin, letting the knee open out to the side in kind of a figure 4 shape. So I'd like to caution you here, if you have had a knee replacement or a hip replacement and your doctor has cautioned you on or told you not to cross your legs, this may be a pose that you want to skip. Please listen to your doctor's advice first. But if you feel this pose is right for you, then go ahead and proceed. And stop at whatever stage works for you. I'm going to show a progression here, and you don't have to go all the way in this progression. Just go as far as feels comfortable to your body. If you don't feel much of a stretch here, you'd like a little bit more stretch, we can move that foot or the ankle up to the thigh, just above the knee. If you're having trouble getting that foot up, you can use your strap, lasso your foot with the strap, and help pull it up with that. Okay, so this might be plenty of stretch on your hip, and if you're feeling this mostly in your knee, maybe ease up a little bit more. If the hip is very tight, the knee tends to try to overcompensate, and if you start feeling pain in the knee, you don't want to go any further in this pose. If you have your lower leg crossed on the right thigh and that's comfortable for you and you want to go a little further, you can bend this right knee so that lifts the thigh a little higher. Try to lift up tall here. And there's one more further step if it's right for you. You can hinge at the hips to fold a little further forward, and you'll really start to feel the stretch in the outside of the left hip here. So again, you may not have progressed all the way to this last step. You don't need to. I really want you to listen to the signals your body gives you. So when you feel you're getting the stretch that's right for you, that's where you should stop. And we'll sit back up. We'll carefully uncross the legs, and we'll switch to the other side. Extend the left leg forward, cross the right ankle over the left shin. You can stay there or bring the foot higher onto the left thigh. If you'd like to go deeper into the pose, bend the left knee, lifting the left thigh higher. Lift up tall through the spine. Just breathe through the stretch. Imagine directing your breath down into the right hip. And if you would like a little bit more intensity, hinge from the hips, folding forward. Just another breath or so here. And when you're ready, lift back up and we'll uncross the legs. We'll come up to standing now. And I'll turn my chair just so that there's a better view for the camera, but if you have room behind your chair, you can leave it where it is. Okay, let's start here with some chair poses. These are great for building up strength in the legs and building up the muscles around the knees. If you don't have any pre-existing problems with your knees, you can come down into chair pose and hold it, but it's safer if you have knee issues already to come into the pose and then back out of it slowly and mindfully. So we'll move with our breath in our chair pose. You want to start with your feet parallel to each other and hip width apart, not the width of the outer hips, but find your hip bones on the front side of the body and line up your feet underneath those. Keep your hands on the backrest of your chair if you need to steady yourself here. On an exhale, bend the knees, lowering the hips down and back. On the inhale, raise back up. Something I'd like to point out here is that as I lower down into my chair, the knees stay lined up pretty much over the center of my feet. We do not want the knees to go forward way out beyond the toes like this. That's a dangerous position for the knees. So focus on sending your hips back as you lower down into your chair pose. And then tuck the tailbone lightly under so that we're also bringing some space between the lumbar vertebrae and the lower back. Now, if you feel steady here and feel like you could safely release the chair, you might push it forward just a little bit and bring your palms to prayer. Again, do what's right for you. If balance is an issue for you, please keep at least one hand on your chair. You can keep one hand resting and bring the other to a half prayer. Let's try one or two more, but stop whenever you need to. If you've already aggravated your knees or you're tired, please stop whenever you need to. Okay, so let's shake that out a little bit. That built up a little bit of heat. Let's do a tree pose next. This is one of the classic balancing poses in yoga. We'll start standing on the right foot. Right now we're evenly balanced on both feet, but we'll shift our weight to the right leg. Lift the left foot and turn the sole of the foot and the heel in towards the inner ankle of the right leg. You can keep the toes down as a kickstand on the floor if you like. Or if you feel steady enough, slide the foot a little higher. Let the toes rest near the inner ankle. If you're feeling pretty confident with your balance here, you could bring the foot a little higher. We want to avoid resting the foot, though, on the inside of the knee. We don't want to encourage the knee joint to bend out to the side. It's not designed to move that way. So keep the pressure of your foot either below the knee or above the knee. This compresses the knee deeply, so if you have problems with bending the knee deeply, have no worries about keeping the foot lower on the leg. And we'll bring the left foot back down to the floor, walk it out a little bit. And when you're ready, we'll switch sides. Let's shift our weight onto the left leg. Bring the right foot to the side of the left leg at whatever height works for you. And imagine you're a tree here. You have roots growing from the bottom of your foot down through the floor and into the soil. Lengthen up tall through your spine, through the crown of your head toward the sky, reaching towards the sun. We open the knee out to the side to open up the hip. Couple more breaths here. And anytime that you need to pause for a rest, you can just press pause on the video and come back to it when you're ready. And we'll bring the right foot back down to the floor and walk it out. All right, let's do one more standing pose behind the chair, and then we'll move around to the front side of the chair. We're going to do a tippy toe pose and tippy toe twist. These are going to work all of the little muscles in the toes, the feet, around the ankles, and the lower legs. You may also feel it up the back side of your upper legs. So again, we want to start with our feet parallel to each other and hip width apart. On an inhale, raise the heels from the floor, coming up to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, slowly lower the heels with control back to the floor. Keep moving with your breath. Inhaling, lift the heels. Exhaling, lower the heels. So if you have issues with your balance, this is the pose that you will practice. If you feel you'd like a little more challenge than this, then the next time we exhale the heels down, we'll also lift the balls of the feet. So we'll be rocking back a little bit. Then inhale the heels up. Exhale the heels down, toes up. Keep moving with your breath. You may feel this in your shins tomorrow as you're trying to climb some stairs. And the next time that our heels come up, we're going to keep the heels raised, remain on the balls of the feet, and we're going to add a twist here. So keep your length in your spine. On an exhale, we're going to sweep the right arm to the side and back. Keep the hips facing forward and let your head turn to follow the right hand. Inhale that right hand back to the backrest. Exhaling, sweep the left arm to the side and back, letting your gaze follow. The thumb faces up. Inhale the left hand back to the chair and just keep following your breath. Exhaling, twist. Inhale back through center. Exhale to the other side. So as we work the feet and the legs here, we're also getting a little stretch for the chest and the shoulders. We'll go once more to each side. And as we come back to center, lower the heels back down to the floor. I'm going to move around the other side of the chair. And we're going to come into a forward fold, do a couple of cat and cow poses, which will warm up the back, and then move into a wide leg forward fold. So we want to start with the toes close to the front legs of the chair. You can have your hand on the back of the chair to steady you and begin to hinge from your hip sockets. Try to keep the back straight and long and bring the hands down to the seat. You can place the palms flat on the seat, or you can make fists to keep your wrists neutral, thumbs facing away from you, or clasp the edges of the seat for a little bit more steadiness. I'm going to step my feet back just a touch. We want to try to be lined up so the shoulders are above the wrists or very slightly behind the wrists, and the hips lined up above the ankles. So in this neutral position, we're in a tabletop pose. We're going to practice tilting the angle of the pelvis here. So the easiest movement from here is to tuck the tailbone under. Notice this makes the back start to round as we move into a cat pose, and we'll tuck the chin towards the chest. Let's start to slowly move back. Lift the tailbone behind you. The hip points on the front side of the body begin to lower down towards the floor, and see how far you can take that pelvic tilt. Reach forward through your heart and lift your chin slightly. We don't want to crane the neck back a long way, so let it remain comfortable for your neck, but maybe gaze towards the back of your chair. Now let's coordinate those movements with our breath. So this is our inhale pose, where the front side of the body is stretched long. On your exhale, begin to tuck the tailbone under again. Arch your back and bring your chin to your chest. Then follow your inhale back into cow, lifting the tailbone, lower the belly, lift your chest and your chin. Let's do that a few more times. Follow your exhale back into cat, tucking the tailbone, arching the back, chin to your chest. Follow the pace of your breathing. And as we come back through our tabletop, let's stop there. And let's come back up to standing slowly. Walk the feet back in towards the chair. Bring one hand at a time to the backrest to bring yourself slowly and safely back up. And we'll shake everything out a little bit here. We have one more pose and then we'll stop for a little rest. But again, stop and rest whenever you need to. Okay, we'll come back into this the same way that we came into the last pose. Feet close to the chair, one or both hands on the backrest, hinging at the hips, fold forward and bring the hands to the seat. Then we'll step slightly back so we can comfortably line up the heels under the hips, the wrists under the shoulders. From here, we'll start to slowly and carefully step the feet out to the sides. I want to pause and point out that I'm not wearing socks, and you should not do this pose if you have your socks on. Remove your socks before you go any further or you will slip on the floor. You can pick up the feet and move them out, or just heel toe the feet out to the sides. Stop wherever feels right for you. Another note here, if you have issues with blood pressure or with getting dizzy or having vertigo, then I would like you to remain here. Notice my head is elevated a little bit higher than the heart. If you come further forward and lower your head below the heart, you may start to feel dizzy or feel pounding and pressure in your head and your face. So stay here if you have any of those issues, but if you don't and you would like to intensify the stretch a little bit, you can begin to bend the elbows, lowering your torso. And if it feels right for you, bring your forearms onto the seat of the chair. We'll take a few breaths here. If this feels comfortable to you and you feel you could go a little further in the pose, then maybe you can bring your forehead down to your stacked fists on the seat. Or maybe bring your forehead all the way down to the seat. Whenever you feel ready to come out of this pose, gently lift your head. Begin to extend the arms, bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders. Carefully step or heel toe your feet back in underneath your hips. Step the feet forward towards the chair. Use the backrest to lift back up slowly. And we'll stop for a rest here. Sit back a little bit in the chair, lean into the backrest, extend my legs forward, rest my hands on my lap, and just close my eyes. enjoy your rest.